go. Excellent. There we go. YouTube and everybody. Excellent. All right. You know how this works. Give me a second to start Instagram. We are good today. I'm going to start Instagram. There we go. And Substack is now. Substack's live, but I just have to pull it up. All right. Substack. All right. There is Substack. My volume is not on. That's good. All right. Substackers. Hey, Substackers. All right. I think we succeeded tonight. Everything's working. Everything's working. Hello, everybody. Howdy, all, as Jason just said. So this is good. Yeah. I think it's been a while, but, you know, I think my, hey, Ash. Hey, Manda. I gave Manda such a headache yesterday. Hey, Queen. Well, you know, so interesting little update yesterday. So we were streaming. I forgot that YouTube gave me some. I like to stream on multiple services when I do this, not just TikTok. And I forgot that YouTube gives me the option to, now they do at least, a couple of weeks ago, to stream a vertical in addition to a horizontal. So like TikTok, right? Or shorts, like the vertical. And I clicked yes. And what I didn't know is it literally is streaming 2 streams on YouTube now. So there's actually a this way and a this way, 2 different streams. Get this. So I had heard, one of you guys had told me, and you had said, you know, if you stream to, you know, vertical on YouTube, they're promoting it more. I got 10 times the views on this video last night, my live that was this way versus my live this way on YouTube. 10 times the viewers of the people that were this way than this way. Now, was it a lot of crazy people? Oh yeah. It was insane trolldom yesterday. And poor Mando was having to deal with all of it like a crazy woman. So, you know, but hey, there's no, what's the, I'm not sure what the expression, I was gonna say no news is good news. In this case, it would be, there's only good news, right? There's only good traffic. Even if they're trolls, they're good traffic. Oh, Ashley did it too, right? The good traffic is good traffic. But yeah, literally 10 times the traffic to that one. And okay, not just 10 times the traffic, it was about 6 times the traffic we normally get. So the traffic we normally get for this, we got 6 times more this. So so we're going to keep trying it. A little crazy, but you know, what do you do? Anyway, welcome everybody. John Arvosis here. Happy Friday all to those who celebrate. I am, okay, you know, I had another of those, my life is going to be getting back injections. Just my spine, you know, I've got a bad spine. It pinches nerves and things. And I mean, not like some people who have much worse. My sister's had much worse, and some of you here have family members getting much worse. But you've got to get a, basically like a steroid injection in your spine. And it's not as bad as it sounds, but it still kind of hurts, you can imagine. Right? It kind of hurts when you're getting it. And I always forget that even though, you know, it's not a big deal, it's not a big procedure, I think it's the psychological thing that freaks you out, right? Like the psychological aspect of it makes me very tired. So that I took a nap this afternoon and I'm still feeling like total, I even had a third coffee, which, you know, I've been avoiding third coffees. But I had a third coffee right before the show, so I would be alive enough for you folks, just so you know. But yeah, I had like 2 of those today, and I'm just kind of like, oh my God, the one just, oh my God. Again, I don't want to gross people out, but it hurts like you might think it hurts. A shot in your spine. I have no idea what my vitamin D levels are. They used to actually, my vitamin D levels were bad years ago, and then I took the super duper pills, and they went back to normal. And they never got bad again. So my vitamin D is probably okay, just because it's been staying okay. Who knows? I shouldn't say who knows, but I mean, I'd have to check my physical and stuff. Anyway, welcome everybody. John Arvosis here. We are here to talk about the latest news. Tomorrow we've got Coffee Talk, remember, or Coffee Talk on TikTok, where we hang out. It's a special show that I started doing Saturday mornings for the paid monthly subscribers. It's just, again, I do shows. Why are you doing this? That's weird. Sorry, my computer, my Apple computer is doing some flashback photos from Arizona. It just brought up on my screen, and I was like, "What the hell's that about?" That was weird. So yeah, tomorrow I started doing a special show on Saturday, an extra show that's a pay show, but it's not really a pay show. What I did was, you guys know that we've got like on Superfans. On TikTok, they're called Superfans. On YouTube, I think they're called members. Discord and Substack have it as well, where you can subscribe and pay a monthly fee. And it's a way of supporting creators every month. You know, small fee. I mean, it's not small, but it's like $10, $6, whatever. And the what I decided to do in order to thank you guys and give you something in return, because otherwise, why should you subscribe, right? The show's free. I decided to start doing a show Saturday morning. So I do a show Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern time, US, most Saturday mornings. Didn't do it when I was in Arizona, but doing one tomorrow. And it's just a special show for the paid monthly subscribers. I only say it because like sometimes people get confused and they go, now you're charging for your shows. And I'm like, no, I'm not. The shows are free. But oh, hey, Queen, the shows are free. It's just I do now a special one on Saturdays that I've been doing for a while to thank the paid subscribers. So if you are one, join us tomorrow. If you're not one, consider. Otherwise, I'm back Monday. It's free. Anyway, so welcome, guys. Let's get rolling here. Please do keep the gifts coming, as I always say. Gifts on TikTok, YouTube, etc. They pay the bills. I very much appreciate your support, so keep it coming. Thank you. With no further ado, let's get rolling here. What was I going to start with? The ballroom. Okay, so Supreme Court. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. JTA says I should walk around the block. It would help when I'm feeling tired. Well, I was having like all sorts of walks, and then my walker got a job. I had a good friend down the block who like would go for a walk every day when he was looking for jobs, and he was afraid he wasn't going to get a job. And I told him, you're going to get a job. He got a job, and now he's not my walker anymore. And I'm like, no, because it was nice to have a friend. It was like being 80 years old or something. Like you've got a friend you can go for daily walks with. And it's much nicer than going on your own, you know? In any case, let's get rolling, guys. So TikTok, thank you, Bowie, for the gifts. TikTokers, as always, do follow me if you are not anyway. I do daily videos on the latest news. Also, I always forget this, but click the screen and do the like thing and maybe forward. You know, it might help TikTok tell its algorithm that my show is good and people will watch it. I don't know, but it might. Because TikTok, I'm noticing TikTok's being a little slow today. It could be because it's Friday. Also, I was gone for a week on vacation. And I think when I'm gone for a week, like people forget or something, or TikTok might even punish you, I think. Like if you don't do every day, I sometimes wonder if it punishes you. Anyway, with no further ado. So the first big story today, Supreme Court on Trump's ballroom. Trump had a victory today, but it wasn't a huge victory, but he did have a victory. What happened was two of the lower courts said Trump cannot build the ballroom. It's illegal. Under U.S. law, Congress has to approve any building built, any federal structure being built. Trump says, oh no, it's the White House. I'm allowed to redecorate, right? So he claims he's allowed to do it. What the Supreme Court ruled today was, and it's not complicated. There's a finesse here. The Supreme Court said, we are not yet deciding. Thank you, BBQ Joe. The Supreme Court said, we are not yet deciding whether Donald Trump can build the ballroom or not. What we are deciding today is, while we are deciding, and it could take months, but while we are deciding the case, Donald Trump can go ahead and build the ballroom, right? In other words, he doesn't have to stop and wait for us to reach a decision. We might not reach a decision for months, but he can go ahead and keep building. You know, that's still a big victory for him. Trump's lawyers, just total BS as always. Trump's lawyers, you got to love this. Okay, the ballroom, right? We all know why Trump's building the ballroom, right? Oh, hey, Lauren, thank you appreciate you saying that on Facebook. We all know, I don't see every comment, just so folks know, but I do try to see a lot of the comments. We all know why Trump's building the ballroom. It's a vanity project. Trump is building the ballroom because he's Liberace. He wants another big gold thing in the White House, and he wants a big room with lots of gold and glitter so he can be the big fancy guy with gold and right. I mean, we know we know why he's doing it, right? It's like the Arab dictators, like Saddam Hussein, but it's also like Liberace as well. Oh, Canada, excellent. Go Canada, or oh Canada. So we know why Trump's building the ballroom, right? He's building it because he wanted a big gold thing, another big gold thing in the White House, a big gaudy gold thing. Well, now what Trump is saying, oh, hey, Blue, thank you for that. Blue just gifted 5 memberships to 5 of you over on YouTube. YouTube might give them out randomly, but it means you can join us for the next month. Join us in the morning show tomorrow morning, Saturday morning on YouTube. So if you accept those memberships, thank you, Blue. That was sweet of you. Trump says today, his lawyers say today, the ballroom, it's not a ballroom. It's a military complex. It's an imperviable military complex, or impervious military complex. We know what Trump is building. Trump is building a big room with gold. TikTok worries me. Like, I know YouTube would let me get away with it, but TikTok, I worry sometimes that it doesn't like the things I say. Those gold things he puts on the Oval Office of the White House, you know what I mean. Those long gold, has a head and a tail on it, and it's gold, and it looks kind of like the thing you learned about in sex ed in 5th grade, if you know what I mean. It's exactly what it looks like. But as I said, YouTube would be okay with it. Oh, it's not phallic. No. It's sex ed. It's how the man meets the woman and creates the baby. It's the man part. Right? It's total. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's totally unseeable once you see it. That's what he's putting up in the Oval Office. He's building this ballroom not as a military bunker. It may have a military bunker underneath. Trump is not building a military complex. He's building a freaking Liberace ballroom. Here's what's, I'm a lawyer. I've worked in Washington. I've worked in government. Let me tell you what's actually going on. Trump and his people keep talking about it's a military bunker. It's a military complex was the quote today. Because judges are much less likely to question a president's decision if the president's decision was made as commander-in-chief about national security. A judge is much more likely to overturn or at least question Donald Trump's wisdom about building a golden ballroom to look like Liberace, right? Judges are willing to overrule Liberace more than they're willing to overrule General Eisenhower, basically. Because when it comes to war and national security, they want to be much more careful. When it comes to Liberace's ballroom, what's the harm if you stop Liberace's ballroom, right? That's why Trump and his lawyers a couple months ago totally switched. Remember a couple months ago, like when there was the attack on the attack on the dinner, or the attempted attack on the correspondence dinner, and Trump said, "This is why we need a ballroom." He didn't say this is why we need a bunker. He said this is why we need a ballroom. Up until a couple months ago, Trump was still pushing the ballroom. Now it's a military complex. Yeah, that's why they're doing it, because they're hoping, and it might just work with the Supreme Court. They're hoping the Supreme Court says, "Oh, we would never want to overrule Mr. Commander-in-Chief Donald with a military bunker." And the drone port, exactly, Ash. And he also claimed it had a drone port on top, But now, mind you, again, the reason I say what Trump is saying is BS is because one of the arguments Trump made, and I loved it. I quoted this a couple months ago to you guys. Trump goes, "Washington, D.C., did you know Washington, D.C. is undefended?" We're all going, I think there's a couple 100,000 people in the Pentagon with weapons that are defending us, but that's okay. It's undefended. It's being defended by, he said, like muskets and what was the exact quote? Does anybody remember? It was like muskets and shotguns or something. It was something ridiculous, like out of the Revolutionary War. And we were like, no, rifles and muskets, Ash said. You got a good memory, Ash. Rifles and muskets. No, Washington, D.C. is defended by tanks and lots of other weapons, several 100,000 military men and women, We've got multiple military bases in the area. I mean, tons of military bases in the area. He wants his Liberace ballroom, and he's willing to deceive anyone in order to get it. And with the Republican Supreme Court, with the Republican activist Supreme Court, I think he might just get it. Very bad stuff. Anyway, so that's what happened today. The Supreme Court did not give Trump final permission, but they said, we're going to wait a while to decide the case about the ballroom, and pending that decision, Trump can go ahead and, the other thing Trump's lawyer said today, which I thought was just adorable. Trump's lawyer goes, well, we're almost 65% done with the ballroom. The bunker. It would be ridiculous to stop now. It would destroy everything because we've come so far. So you mean if you break the law and commit a felony, commit a crime, you've got to make sure that you almost complete your crime. Because if you almost finish your crime, then it would be a crime to stop you from finishing your crime, right? Only when in other words, if you commit like 10% of a crime, you go to prison. But if you commit 80% of a crime, then we let you go. I mean, first of all, that's insane, right? The guy who commits 80% of a crime, you could even argue is more guilty than the guy that commits 10%, right? Like, you plan to rob a bank is bad. Actually going through and robbing a bank is even worse, right? The second problem here is what Trump's lawyers would have us do is provide an incentive for presidents and everyone else to make sure that if they're going to commit a crime and break the law, they better break it hard and they better break it fast. If you're going to break the law, break it big, break it fast, get it done as fast as possible, and that way the court will let you go, which is ridiculous, right? Third, as Waiting and some other folks are saying here on TikTok, the fact that Trump's lawyer is claiming they're 65% done with the ballroom probably means they're 3% done with the ballroom, because this is an administration of pathological liars. They lie about everything. This is the ballroom, for example, that we were told was going to cost $200 million, then $300 million, then $400 million. But we were told, hey, don't worry about it. Private companies are going to pay for it. Now, putting aside for the fact that Trump is shaking down private companies to give him money to build a ballroom, that's a little scary in terms of ethics, but he says at least taxpayers will not have to pay for it. Then we find out, oops, taxpayers will have to pay for it. Trump didn't get enough money. So we were told Trump needed $400 million of taxpayer money to build the ballroom. Then a week later, what were we told? Oh no, Trump needs $1 billion of taxpayer money to build the ballroom. So this ballroom, you and I are paying for it. And it is yet another $1 billion project, just like the National Guard in Washington, D.C., who aren't doing anything. I live here. I've talked to them all the time. The poor men and women are just walking around enjoying the sights. Literally, they're walking in the safest neighborhoods, and they're just walking during the day like, la, la, la. They're nice kids. They're young kids. They're usually from rural states. I've talked to a lot of them, but they're not doing anything. It's costing several $billion with a B for the National Guard to be here in Washington, D.C. for the next couple of years. Billions. He's spending billions here, billions there, billions here, billions there. He just doesn't care. And yesterday, the federal budget deficit jumped to, not the debt, the national debt jumped to $40 trillion. 40 trillion with a T, the amount of national debt we have. And Trump's just spending money like a drunken sailor. Doesn't care. Doesn't care. Anyway, Trump is now threatening the Center for American Progress, which reminds me, mods, remind me at some point later, I've got to invite Neera Tandon to come join us again. Neera is the head of the Center for American Projects. She's a friend, a colleague. I like her a lot. I've had her a lot on my podcast. Brilliant woman, great activist. You're going to love Neera. Neera is a great activist. Oh, thank you, Julie, for the koala. Keep the gifts coming. Thank you, guys. Neera is a great activist. I mean, really great activist. And she runs the Center for American Progress, big liberal think tank, basically in Washington. Kind of the The Heritage Foundation is or was the big think tank for Republicans. Center for American Progress is the big think tank for Democrats. NERA's great. Well, NERA's people do a report about the National Guard in DC. And they do a study of crime because Trump keeps saying crime has plummeted in Washington, DC, all because of the National Guard. Well, Center for American Progress did a study, and they found that, in fact, crime went down in Washington, D.C., along with the rest of the country, because nationwide for a number of years, including under Biden, crime has been going down. What they found was, by doing an analysis, was that it is not, there is no indication, I forget what you call this in economics. Is this called a, oh my God, I'm forgetting. It's not a differential analysis. What do you call it when you try to factor certain things and take certain things out of the equation and then see what happens? I used to know what this was called. But bottom line is, you can look at crime data and you can start to take out, no, there's a specific, the economists out there will know what I'm talking about. It's a something analysis. No, it's a specific analysis. It's a Bloom analysis, and it means you've taken out a specific variable and you've tested for that variable to make sure the numbers still go down. And what happens basically is they looked at it, and what they found was crime was going down anyway. Crime was going down in DC. It was going down nationwide. Oh, thank you, Haras. Appreciate it. That is a crazy gift. Thank you. I was wondering what that one looked like. Thank you for that. Meta-analysis? Maybe it is meta. I thought it was something else. Meta-analysis? I think it's something else. It's pissing me off now. I'm going to have to ask boyfriend what this is. But in any case, they did, it's like differential, it's something else. They did the analysis and determined that crime was going down anyway. And the regression analysis, thank you, Nina. And then Valerie got it right after Nina, a regression analysis. That's what it's called. I'm not an economist, but like you pick up things along the way. It's called a regression. Thank you. That's what I mean. It's a specific kind of analysis. Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Valerie and Nina. I appreciate that. Valerie, she beat you by like 2 seconds. Thank you, guys. So what they found was, as I said, that crime was going down anyway. So Center for American Progress does a study and says Trump is wrong. Crime did not go down in DC because of the National Guard. Well, Trump is now threatening to sue the Center for American Progress for $5 billion for claiming that he didn't drastically cut crime in Washington, D.C. Again, authoritarian dictator move. That's funny, dictator move. I just thought of that joke there. It's a dictator move. What is great, though, is Center for American Progress said, good. A, the truth is an ultimate defense to defamation. B, the Center for American Progress said, we look forward to legal discovery where we get to have all the data from the administration on the National Guard deployments. They said, we look forward to getting all of that data from you during the lawsuit, which is very true, right? So, but these guys, $5 freaking billion. It's another bogus lawsuit. He operates like a dictator. He operates like a dictator, It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, Stars and Stripes. This is, speaking of dictator, Stars and Stripes is one of the oldest military publications. Newspapers, but you know what I mean? Now they're online and everything else. Stars and Stripes started during the Civil War. It's an independent military newspaper, but it's still kind of tied to the Pentagon, but it's independent, right? It gets to publish uncensored news. Soldiers all read it. The troops all read it. It's existed since the Civil War. Since World War II, it has published regularly since World War II. Okay. Alexa, raise the temperature 1 degree. Sorry, getting a little cold. So it's published regularly since World War II. And Trump and Hegseth just fired the editor-in-chief. Why? Well, let's put it this way, because you never know the why, right? According to people inside the Pentagon, I think in CBS News, the editor-in-chief had just done an interview with CBS. In that interview with CBS, the editor-in-chief said, we are independent. We're objective. We give the straight truth. We don't do propaganda for the Pentagon. And the editor-in-chief defended the free press. The editor-in-chief said that he opposed censorship, that censorship of Stars and Stripes would be a step too far. Trump and Hegseth fired him, it is believed, for coming out against censorship. In other words, he was censored by Trump for publicly opposing censorship. Now, what else did Trump do? Trump and Hegseth have also fired the Inspector General of Stars and Stripes. The Inspector General's job is a congressionally appointed job. It is the Inspector General's job. That person was fired a couple months ago, to ensure that the newspaper stays objective. He should sue for $5 billion. That's very funny. Metronaut goes, he should sue for $5 billion. That is actually freaking, I love that. I don't know whether he's got a case, but I love people should just throw the $5 billion thing back. Everything that happens, make it like David Hearn, make it $5 billion, right? The reflecting pool thing, right? It's what's also interesting. Trump and Hegseth appoint like a new deputy of the newspaper, deputy publisher or something, a couple months ago. Their guy, right? And their guy goes, there's no, I love this. Their guy, in response to this scandal, he's firing the top guy now. Trump's guy goes, there's no censorship at Stars and Stripes. We recently published an article about the problems on the USS Lincoln. USS Lincoln is the ship where U.S. sailors were literally jumping off the ship because they were like wanting to leave so badly, right? Running out of food, etc. Trump's guy at Stars and Stripes, his appointee, says the proof that there's no censorship at Stars and Stripes, is that whatever. I was close, man, guy. When you're doing a live show, you can only get the words so close sometimes. But you're right. Yes. That the what was I saying? Oh yeah. Trump's guy at the newspaper says there's no censorship. The proof that there's no censorship, we recently did a story about all the problems with the USS Lincoln. The USS Lincoln. Yeah, Stars and Stripes did stories about all the problems with the USS Lincoln, problems that Trump has denied, problems that Trump is livid about, problems that Hegseth is livid about the fact that they went public. Trump said the sailors were lying. Trump said the families were lying about the problems. And the guys that published the story, the editor just got fired. I don't think that's proof that Stars and Stripes isn't being censored, right? We just published a big story critical of Trump, and they fired one of our big reporters and the editor-in-chief right after that. Okay, well, I mean, you get it, right? That is not an argument to such. I mean, they could have fired him for that. That could have been part of knowing Trump. By the way, we all know Trump. You know Trump. Trump saw that article, and Trump said, God damn it, we paid for that, right? And that was the end of that, right? What else we got? CNBC. This is funny. Okay. Food prices. Beef prices are still through the roof. Donald Trump, as you know, has created massive inflation in the U.S. Joe Biden leaves office, leaves Trump with 3% inflation. Trump comes to office, inflation spikes to like 4%. It might be down to 3.5% now, but it's still significantly higher than it was under Biden, in part because of the oil price surge caused by Trump's war in Iran, in part because of Trump's tariffs. Both of those have caused massive spikes in inflation, in prices that you and I have to pay. Well, yeah, beef prices have gone through the roof. Beef. Trump announced today, this is great. Trump announced today that he's one of the ways he's going to get beef prices down. He has just approved allowing 300,000 metric tons of ground beef to be imported over the next 3 months into the U.S. without being subject to tariffs. There's a couple issues here. One, so in order to lower American prices, Trump is eliminating tariffs on some beef from abroad. So you mean tariffs do cause price increases, right? He's getting rid of the tariffs on some beef from abroad so he can lower the prices for American consumers. That means Trump's tariffs on goods coming in from abroad are raising prices for American consumers. He's admitting it's causing inflation. The second thing, and this is absolutely freaking hilarious, absolutely freaking hilarious. The second thing is Trump says he's going to require that the foreign beef coming into the U.S., the foreign beef has to be sold 25% cheaper than the market price. And the Republicans are dying right now. They're freaking out. In other words, American cattle farmers who are in real trouble right now economically, Trump just said a bunch of foreigners are now going to be allowed to bring their beef into America and sell it 25% cheaper than American beef. So people are going to buy the foreign beef and not the American beef. And if American cattle farmers want to compete, and again, they're already in trouble, they're going to have to lower their beef another 25%, and they're already in trouble economically. If you're in trouble economically, you don't want to lower prices even more. I mean, and big surprise, the Republicans are freaking out. Mr. President, you're hurting cattle farmers out west in Montana. Yeah, well, maybe you should have thought. I mean, again, nobody thought the face-eating leopards would eat my face or whatever. I mean, like, it's just funny at this point. I mean, it really is. I feel bad for these guys, but I mean, come on. Anyway, very funny. Natalie Harp, we have to talk about this. We talked about this yesterday. So very interesting story here about Natalie Harp. Natalie Harp, do I have a picture of her? I don't know if I have a picture of her. Natalie Harp is Donald Trump's BFF staffer. She is very pretty. She's 35 years old or so, looks younger, very blonde, very sweet, very MAGA. She goes everywhere with Trump. People have noticed. We have no proof of anything untoward, but she looks like Ivanka. She looks like every woman Donald Trump has ever liked, blonde. But we don't know. Donald Trump did cheat on his first wife. He did cheat on his third wife. He's, we know, right? I mean, we know. My God, in court, E. Jean Carroll literally won a lawsuit against Donald Trump, right? Having said that, and Stormy Daniels, he paid off when he was with Melania and just had a baby, and then he slept with Stormy Daniels. Well, Jon Ossoff, Democratic senator from Georgia, because there's been a lot of talk about Natalie Harp, Trump's very pretty 35-year-old petite assistant. And the talk was just that she's always with him, and it looks a little weird. But, right, nobody has proof that, so I'm not going to allege anything, right? Well, Jon Ossoff doesn't allege anything. He doesn't even give her full name. He says Natalie. And he's talking about how Trump never wants to work. And he says Trump never wants to do his job. He just wants to stay in his ballroom and his Qatari-provided luxury jet with Natalie. That's what he said. Like, stay in his jet with Natalie, he said, more or less. Or I think he said stay with Natalie in his Qatari-paid jet. But that's all he said. He didn't say having an affair. He didn't say anything like that. Well, the White House freaks out and basically orders the Republicans to respond en masse, to deny this and demand an apology and this kind of crap. The problem is they made a story out of it. First of all the Republicans said, thank you, Cricket, for the gift. Keep the gifts coming, guys, for the pillow fight. New York has a great pillow fight every year, by the way. I had a great, New York City, I got to tell you, expensive city, but the fun stuff they do. They had a huge pillow fight at, was it Washington Square? I think it's called Square Park. Oh my God, so much fun. Sorry, it was a pillow gift. That's why I was thinking of that. All of Trump's defenders go public and say, he is not having an affair with Natalie Harp. You're like, guys, you don't say that. Ossoff did not mention her name. He just said Natalie. He didn't say Natalie Harp. They gave her full name. Ossoff did not say Trump was having an affair. Trump's defenders mentioned an affair. Trump's defenders repeatedly talked about there not being an affair. Well, if you know, I've talked about this before. The number one thing in politics, in public relations, is if you're being attacked and accused of something, you don't repeat the accusation. You deny the accusation, but you don't repeat it. If somebody says you're having an affair, you don't say, I'm not having an affair. You just say, that's untrue. That's scurrilous. You're besmirching my perfect record or whatever, right? But you don't repeat it. And as Kim just said, it's the Streisand effect. Barbara Streisand famously tried to nick some photos that the paparazzi took of her. Somebody was getting married at her estate, and they Malibu or whatever. They flew over with helicopters and got pictures. Well, she tried to legally squash the pictures, and it forced it to become a huge international story, and everybody saw the pictures. Otherwise, nobody was paying a lot of attention to the story. So it's called the Barbara Streisand effect, right? Well, that's what happened. So now everyone's talked about this. Everyone said her name. Everyone's talking about an affair or denying an affair. And what happened, I saw one reporter explain this, and he said basically, they've created a space where the media now has to talk about it because it's become a story. And in talking about it, the media has to talk about what the story is. That the story is that Democrats are insinuating that this woman by this name is having an affair with Trump. So now when the media wasn't going to report on it earlier because they didn't have proof of an affair, right? So they weren't going to report on it. Now, rather than reporting on an affair because they don't have proof, they're reporting on a scandal accusing an affair, right? It's hard to explain because I do professional media as well. I've written for The Economist, among others. You don't write about a story unless it's a story. Just because people were whispering about Natalie Harp doesn't make it a news story. It's not a story. When a Democratic senator mentions her name, that's interesting, but it's not a story. When the White House coordinates a massive response to attack Democrats and they mention Natalie Harp's name and they talk about Trump having an affair or not having an affair, thank you, Cricket. Now you've caused a huge story. Now you've caused a huge story. I mean, now as a journalist, I'm going, well, it wasn't a story that there were rumors, but it is a story that the Trump White House is coordinating a response and is livid. That's a story. So now you've made it so that journalists have to write about Natalie Harp and they have to mention allegations of an affair, even though they're unsubstantiated. And that gets it in people's heads who didn't hear about it before. So this was very stupid. Well, some letters came out, and this was great. Daily Beast got 2 of her letters she wrote to Donald Trump. They're big. I'm going to read them to you because they're crazy. They're absolutely crazy. Listen to this. This is a top aide to Donald Trump, a 35-year-old woman. Okay? 35-year-old woman. I heard some single line quotes to this. I had not read the whole thing. I want you to listen to the whole thing. Now, something happened. It sounds from this letter like Trump said something to her, criticized her, said, hey, you're not looking so good or something. And she wrote him a letter. Dear Mr. I can't believe this. This is real. This came from Daily Beast. Dear Mr. President, I'm sorry. I thought I was the only one left behind last night and had no idea Margot's car was also pulled over and sent back to the airport. Since I was alone in the van outside customs without my passport, I panicked and should have just called Secret Service instead of you. So she's at the airport and was having problems and she called Trump on his private phone. Interesting. I also am sorry if I was an embarrassment walking the course in Scotland, the golf course, I guess. The first day I was told there were no carts and people walked, which is why I walked. The second day I was specifically asked by, I forget who his name was, but one of the main people who worked there, if I could continue walking and tell any other girls who would head out there to do the same to spare the course any more carts. If there's anything else I could have done to cause you trouble, please forgive me. I know that some people have said I haven't been texting them back and there have been some international cell issues. John was having technical issues on the plane too, so asked me to help him out. This is only half the letter. This is the letter from Trump's blonde 35-year-old aide, Natalie Harp, to Trump that the media got a copy of. It goes on. I want things to always be right between us. I'm not sure how to say this. This is not the letter I would write to a boss who I wasn't in love with. This is the letter I would write if I was in love with somebody. I would not write a letter like this to a boss. I would not. It would be weird. It would be very weird. I want things to always be right between us. I also know, and by the way, mods, feel free to jump in occasionally and tell people what we're talking about, because I worry about that people kind of come and go and they don't necessarily know what we're talking. So let them know this is a letter that Trump's top aide wrote to him. I want things to always be right between us. I also know I've been distracted all week, forgetting to eat throughout the days and even forgetting to sleep and only catching a couple hours at a time. I haven't been myself, dwelling on the past and the pain of losing my dad, and I started letting the remarks of people who haven't bothered me before get to me, not because I care what others think, but because I see myself being lowered in your eyes and good opinion. That is the fear you see, because I never want to bring you anything but joy. I'm sorry I lost my focus. You are all that matters to me. I don't want to ever let you down. Thank you for being my guardian and protector in this life. That's what I wanted to use this card for. When you saw me at the cash register and once again did what you didn't have to do and gifted me with the mementos of this trip of a lifetime, a coming of age, I will return a better person. I have to sign off now as the cars are leaving. See you soon with all my heart. That's the first letter. This is the second letter from the Daily Beast. Allegedly a letter from Trump's top aide, Natalie Harp. Okay? Dear Mr. President, now this is the note I wanted to write, but the apology needed to come first. Oh God. So she wrote the first note and then decided to write a second note. This is how big the first note I just read. She wrote a follow-on note that was this big. Daily Beast stamped it because they got the copy. Melania cannot be happy. Dear Mr. President, now, this is the note I wanted to write, but the apology needed to come first. I have learned so much about myself on this trip. I always knew coming home to my roots would be enlightening, but I had no idea how much. For the first time in I don't know how long, you forced me to unplug. We could be out on the course with no machines and even forget what time it was. I didn't have to be human printer. I could take time to enjoy good conversation and still get all my work done at the end of the day. In fact, I even had time to take long morning and evening walks to enjoy each sunrise and sunset, though I did forget to eat and sleep, exclamation point. With so much thinking time, I confess, it did have a slightly negative effect at times that I know you picked up on, but the end result, I believe, will be worth it. I had no idea how rapidly I was approaching burnout and starting to envy those whose only job seems to be to talk with you and look pretty. I want that job. So many times I'm just trying to stay afloat with all that's coming in for you. I look like a hunchback who didn't have time to freshen up. At least you know what I should look like, exclamation point. Plus, I miss the days when you used to call during my talk show days and we'd talk about everything and nothing. This is one of Trump's top White House aides, a 35-year-old blonde woman who people have put, Democratic congressmen kind of put rumors out about there. And they're denying anything inappropriate. I miss the days when you used to call during my talk show days and we'd talk about everything and nothing. I want to get back to that synergy. She's writing to the President of the United States, guys. We shouldn't have to talk about work all the time, double exclamation point. He's the President of the United States and he's your boss. So yes, you should have to talk about work all the time. Double exclamation point, right? I've always felt like an in-betweener, somewhere between staff and those you enjoy talking to on the plane or at dinner, because that's who I used to be to you when I was a talk show host, as much as I hated the actual job. I wish I could hear every conversation because that's when you're having a good time, getting away from it all, at least for a few moments. It goes on, but after going, this is, again, one of Trump's top White House aides, but after going through all the self-analysis, my conclusion, I need to reunite my past self with my current into a better version who will make you proud. And please, when I fail, will you tell me? You have the absolute right to cuss me out if need be when I deserve it, because no one knows or cares about me more. Thank you for always being there for me. I'll never forget when you made that promise to me after losing my dad, and I know how happy he is right now that I did get to go to Scotland and Ireland as he always wanted me to. to modify a classic, quote, I could not have parted with you to anyone less worthy, and I will add, it is I who is unworthy. Always, comma, Natalie. P.S. My hands looked worse in Scotland and Ireland because the cold turns the old scars purple. Still on the road to recovery, exclamation point. Thank you, Dixie. That was really weird. Thank you, Lisette. That was really weird. That was really weird. That was a senior White House staffer who I was thinking of doing videos like for TikTok and everything and just reading the entire thing, even though it's going to take 5 minutes, reading the entire thing. I am having a difficult time imagining, thank you, Terry, for the gift on TikTok, imagining a normal relationship with your boss and writing those kind of letters to your boss. Then I'm imagining your boss is married. Then I'm imagining your boss is the married president of the United States, whose wife isn't exactly around, but she's still married to the man, and you're writing letters like this. It's, to me, the tone is inappropriate. It's inappropriate to any boss. This is like, not a screed. What's the word I'm looking for? It's like rambling. You're writing two rambling, very personal letters to your boss. It's weird. You're a woman writing it to a man. Heterosexual, presumably on Trump's part. It's weird. You're writing it to a married man. That's weird. You're writing it to the president of the United States. That's weird. It's just very weird. I finally read them today and I was like, holy shit. Because we saw a quote yesterday, and the quote was weird that we saw yesterday. It's funny. We Are Better just said it's high school level. I was going to tell you guys, as I was reading this letter, I was gonna say, and I forgot. I was gonna say, did she crumple it up and give it to the boy next to her and say, "Could you slip this to the president?" Right, like slip it, to all the other girls in the room to slip it to Donald. To me, it reads like a high school, or not high school, like a grade school girl, high school maybe, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, writing to her love. Man, oh man, oh man. How did they get them is a damn good question. I don't know. That's a really good question. Yeah, I don't know how they got them. Well, okay. Someone at the White House is probably not loving her relationship with the president. First of all, I could think of one person named Melania Trump. Right. Second of all, not just Melania, but people overall, there are going to be other staffers who think she's a risk. There could be other staffers who say, I'm the closest contact Donald Trump had. I'm Trump's best friend. I don't want her to become the new best friend. Right. That kind of political jealousy. It could be staffers who think she's a risk, who worry that they're going to get too close. Right? And it's going to cause problems. Again, Melania, it could be somebody working for Melania. It could just be the chief of staff who says, I don't like this. Right? This just could get him in trouble. We don't need Bill Clinton. We don't need another Bill Clinton White House problem, right? So there could be lots of different reasons these letters could have been leaked. I doubt Trump. Now, you also have Donald Trump. Is it credible? Yes, it is. That Donald Trump showed the letters to somebody? Yeah. Think about it. Donald Trump loves this, right? Donald Trump's 80 years old, and some 35-year-old blonde girl, in a way, woman, but girl, in the way she treats him, right? Wrote him these gushing letters. You don't think Trump showed somebody, hey, I'm 80. Look at the letter I got from a beautiful 35-year-old woman on my staff, right? I think Trump has shown people classified information. We know that from the Australian, who he showed classified secrets about our submarines to during his first term. He brags like that. He could have shown somebody the letter. And somebody could have said, oh, Donald, I got to take a copy of this. And he probably said, okay, sure. I got to take a copy and show it to so-and-so. Sure. It's entirely possible. I mean, unfortunately, I don't think you can trust him to be reasonable, or to hold confidences, things like that. Anyway, Donnie, New York Times. As the supply of interceptors from the U.S. and Europe dwindles, civilian deaths are rising in Ukraine. Nearly 1,400 civilians were killed in the first 6 months of 2026, a 37% increase from the same period in 2025, and a 114% increase from 2024. The Wall Street Journal reports that the Army has canceled plans to have senior Ukrainian military officers speak at the service's event for maneuver warfare at Fort Benning in Georgia. Basically, senior Ukrainian military officials were going to come and talk to the Army to lecture about what they've done in Ukraine with Russia. The Trump people canceled it. They didn't want the Ukrainian military talking to our troops. Trump is back to hating Ukraine again. Remember how he promised the Ukrainians that he was going to let them, he was going to license them so they could build their own Patriot missiles, and then he took it back a couple weeks ago? Yeah. Now we don't even want, and just this last week we found out they're killing a battalion or a special drone battalion or something in the Army in Europe that was basically going to specialize in drone warfare. Hegseth and Trump are killing it because they want to get back to basics. Drones are so frilly is the concept, right? That's not basic. Basic military fighting isn't about drones. It's about World War II. So they're literally killing our nixing, 86ing, one might say, our drone experts in the military. And now the Ukrainians are coming. The Ukrainians have the most expert with drones of probably anybody in the world. The Ukrainians have the most expertise fighting the Russians of anybody in the world, and certainly the most recent expertise. And rather than have the experts at fighting the Russians, the experts at using drones, come and share their wisdom with our troops and our leaders, Trump and Hegseth just canceled it because they've got a problem with Ukraine. And they've got a problem with Ukraine. Why? One can only guess. I think he talked to Putin again. I think that's probably what happened. A lot of the military experts said it looks like Trump talked to Putin, and that's why he suddenly shifted on Ukraine again. Screwy stuff. Last little thing, USA Today. A new YouGov Economist poll shows Donald Trump has negative net job approval in 47 states and Washington, D.C., with only Wyoming, Idaho, and West Virginia ranking him positive. Wyoming, he's plus 14, Idaho plus 9, West Virginia plus 6. They're the only states where a majority of respondents still approve of Trump. The lowest net approval rating is in Washington, D.C. at negative 83. You have to love that. Negative 83 in D.C. That's pretty funny. Maryland and Vermont have the most negative net approval each at negative 50. Post net approval. I'm not sure what the difference means, but they're saying, I'm not sure what the difference between those two is. Negative 50. A Reuters Ipsos poll released on August 17th shows only 1 in 3 Americans approve of Trump's job performance, the lowest since his 2025 return to office. Oh, well. Sorry, I'm sliding up here. All right. I'm going to relax in my chair. We got 15 more minutes. Somebody actually just claimed Trump is more popular than ever. Okay, here's the problem. And this is something I can understand why somebody like that would be confused. If you're used to being lied to, you don't realize the truth is out there, right? You don't realize how easy it is for people to, frankly, forget the mainstream media. Go to Fox News. Just go to Fox News and type in Trump's approval rating, and you will see that Trump is in the low 30s. That's it. Again, if you're like part of a cult and you don't review your own information and you don't look for your own information, you believe the lies, not just because you're being lied to by people you trust, but because for whatever crazy reason, You don't go and investigate the news yourself. You don't go and do your own research. So the problem is, on my show, you're dealing with not just really smart people and really educated people. You're dealing with people who, do their own research and do their own fact checking. And that's how, that's how you get yourself into trouble. Because when you say, everybody knows Donald Trump is more popular than ever, no. Literally every single poll, even from Fox News. Let's pull up Fox News. Let's do this. Let's have ChatGPT pull it up. Hold on. Find me the latest Fox News presidential approval rating for Trump. Again, Fox News, mainstream Republican news outlet. If it went up a little, it might be at 38. I'm going to guess 33, 34, but let's see. Let's see. But again, you never want to, this is like the lawyer thing when they say a lawyer should never ask a question they don't want the answer to. Never. Oh, it went up a little bit. Went up a little bit. The latest Fox News poll shows Trump has a 39% job approval. That's still not more popular than ever. 39%. Has unchanged for 3 months. Overall job approval, 39%, Fox News. Immigration, 42% approve, 57% disapprove. Iran, 34% approve, Fox News. 66%. Oh, geez. As my iPad took a dive there. That was scary. Hold on. Oops. Hold on. I'm going to move this. There we go. I hate when it does that. I'm going to break my iPad. All right, there we go. Okay. Oops. Literally, I'm reading this and it starts to go. I know, I'm waiting. That was my thumb. I know. Iran, Fox News, 34% approve, 66% disapprove. The economy, again, Fox News latest poll, 33% approve of Trump on the economy, 67% disapprove. Inflation, Fox News's latest poll, 27% of Americans approve of Donald Trump's handling of inflation. 27%, 73% disapprove. That's the Fox News poll. QED, as I said, Trump is historically unpopular. You can try to lie about it, but it's very easy for us to, oh God, hello. My thing is, there it is. My microphone's falling down. It's very easy for us to go and research it and tell you the truth. So there we go. I think I'm waiting for my microphone stand to fall off my computer one of these days. Anyway. What else? We got another 10 minutes. Ooh, I'm losing my voice again a little tonight. I don't know why. It could be allergies. I was feeling allergies the last couple of days. Some allergies. Worse in American history? I don't think so. I would bet Richard Nixon could have had, he got down pretty close. Hold on. I want you to look at the average polls for Donald Trump. Again, looking at the average of polls, of good polls. Is his approval at the lowest in American history for any president? And if not, where is Trump on average and who was lower?
Right now, Donald Trump's average approval rating is around 36%, with about 60% disapproving. Historically, the lowest presidential approval ever recorded was for Harry Truman, who dropped to 22% back in 1952. So while Trump's approval is low, it's not the lowest in American history.
How does it rank? Is he the second lowest, the third lowest, the fourth lowest? How does that land? How does it rank?
Donald Trump's current average approval rating is about 36%. Historically, that puts him among the lowest, but not at the very bottom. The lowest recorded presidential approval was Harry Truman at 22%, followed by Richard Nixon at 24%, and Jimmy Carter at 28%. So while Trump's rating is low, it's not the lowest in U.S. history.
Okay, but I asked you to rank it. Is he the fourth lowest or what?
Donald Trump's lowest recorded approval rating was about 29%, which ranks him fourth lowest among US presidents. The lowest ever recorded was Harry Truman at 22%, followed by Richard Nixon at 24%, and then Jimmy Carter at 34%. Joe Biden has also reached a low of around 31%. Overall, Trump's current approval is historically low, but not the absolute lowest.
Interesting. By the way, you're talking average polling, right?
Yes, that ranking is based on the lowest points recorded in reputable polls, mostly Gallup, for each president. When we talk about Trump's current figure, that's
Whoa, wait a minute, wait, stop. Wait a minute. Are you telling me you went and looked at the lowest poll for all the other presidents, but for Trump, you only looked at the average poll?
I see the confusion. Let me clarify. For Trump's historical low, I was referencing a specific poll point, 29% in certain polls, just as I did.
Okay, that's fine. So let's conclude then. If you look at just the worst poll, Trump is the fourth worst president, fourth most unpopular?
Exactly. When we focus on each president's single worst recorded poll, Trump's lowest point places him around fourth from the bottom, after Truman, Nixon, and Carter.
Okay. All right.
If anything else comes up, or you want to dive deeper into any other historical comparisons, just let me know.
Okie dokie. Okay. Yeah, I was just getting a little confused as to whether it was playing games there with how that was doing it. Hard to say. Anyway.
Yeah, approval
okay.
ratings can be a bit.
I'm not talking to you anymore. Stop talking.
No. All right, I'll stay quiet. If you ever need anything later.
Stop. There we go. I think I got him to be quiet. I was like, stop that. Stop that. Anyway. What else, guys? We got another couple minutes. I'm live on TikTok. Sorry, Mark was asking if I was live on TikTok. I'm live on TikTok right now. Now, TikTok, I think, is hiding my lives. That seems rather obvious, but nonetheless, keep the gifts coming by the way. Trip was great. I enjoyed Arizona. Arizona was fun. It was very fun. Yeah, I liked it. It was I like it out there. I mean, it's hot, but I like traveling anyway. I mean, you see, my nephews are there. Their kids are there. Their kids were a lot of fun. Like age, was it 3, 7, and 10, I think, who were just a lot of fun. So that was really fun too. I enjoyed it. It was good. So it was nice. It was hot, but my nephew's dog is also a riot. His dog adores me, which is really funny. His dog tends not to like guys. The dog loves me. And then and I asked him, he told me, he goes, she doesn't really do many tricks. I've tried. And I said, what about like paw? He goes, no, she won't do it. I said, can I try? He goes, okay. I did one session for about 10 minutes and she was starting to do it. And I said, let's give her a break. I come back that evening. I get some treats. I go, give me your paw. She lifts her paw in the air. And then I chopped up the treats into little bits, in like 20 little bits, but really small. Every single time she did it, in one session, I taught the dog to give her paw. I was very proud of myself. But his dog, and she's very sweet. His dog loves me. It doesn't tend to like guys. Very, very funny. My hair is not more blonde. You're seeing the lighting. I mean, my hair is getting very white, but it's got the dark in there too. And depending how the light hits it, I think it's funny. I think on TikTok, it makes my hair look whiter than it does in the videos. Yeah. Yep. I think so. I mean, it is getting white, but it's even whiter because I've got the overhead light. I don't know if I turn this off. Well, it's still, no, there's a dark spot in the middle though. It's still pretty white even with the light off. Yeah, but with the light on, look at that. See, when you put the light on full, then I become silver guy. Silver man. Anyway, yeah. No, it's funny. And the funny part is too, is like when at nighttime, the blue light starts to make my hair look blue or red, I think, which people have mentioned that. I was like, my hair is not blue. Thank you. Anyway, good job, Robert. Anyway, what else, guys? Um, Trying to make some sourdough. It went well until I put it in the fridge, and now it's not growing, which has happened to me before in the fridge, but we're going to see. I'm going to see if I can get it to rise a little bit tomorrow. So we shall see. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, I would never look. If I were ever going to color the problem is if you're ever going to color your hair, you pretty much have to have a professional do it. And it's too much money, and you've got to do it too often. Like I was told, even women, a guy, even worse because your hair is short, you've got to color your hair like every 5 or 6 weeks. And it could be $100 or $150 or something crazy. And I'm like, I think I'm too cheap to do that. I mean, like, who the hell wants to go and do it every like 6 weeks? Now, granted, it's nice to feel younger, yes, but I don't know, you know? And the other thing I would worry about is if you start coloring your hair, you can't stop, right? 200? No. Every 2 weeks? Oh my God. I mean, and also then how do you stop? Because if you stop, then your hair goes, even worse, your hair is like half colored and half silver. And then you go from people thinking you get it. Having said that, I think people who get good coloring jobs do, like on women, you know, maybe we were raised this way. I think women look good with hair coloring. I think they do. You know, I don't think women are as attractive with silver hair. I think it does wonders on women to make them look young. Men, we get away with this because we're guys. Now, is it a cultural thing? Maybe. Who knows? I mean, right? It could be because we're told it's okay for men to be silver foxes. Who knows, right? But I will say, like, I tend to think women look better with their hair dyed. I do. When women don't dye their hair, I think it makes them look older. And again, no, by the way, part of the problem there is a lot of women do dye their hair. So if you don't dye, then it really makes you look like you're not like I think maybe it's cultural again in that, like, I'm used to thinking of an old grandma at 90 not dyeing her hair, right? So that if you don't dye your hair, you think, oh my God, it makes you look super old. It clearly is prejudices and society pressure and all this kind of stuff, you know? I care if I look older. I do, though. You know, I think I do. I don't know. I mean, I think it's really good if you don't. I don't like looking older or getting older. I mean, I don't know. It's, you know, I don't know. I mean, like, what's her face looks good gray. You know who I mean? The actress. We love her. Jamie Lee Curtis, right? She looks fabulous gray. But beyond her, I don't know. I don't know. Good night, Jeffrey. Yeah, I've heard of stuff that only targets the gray. I don't know that it's true. They say that. I don't know that that's true, you know? And I've seen enough men who have dyed their own hair and, like, you know, it's jet black. It's like, oh God, you know, it's just kind of, it's too many men I've seen screw up their hair by dyeing it. Again, you know, I don't love going gray, but what do you do? You know? Again, if you're able to pull it off and do it yourself, great, you know, but too much trouble. Anyway, well, we're almost actually 7:15, guys. I think I'm going to call it quits. You know, my voice could have been from last night when we went like half an hour long. It could be. You're a hairstylist? Oh, cool. But you know what I mean? Like, I always see these famous guys on TV. Nicholas Kristof of the New York Times. Horrible. Jamie Raskin would dye his hair. And you were like, stop. And he would dye it black. And Nicholas Kristof dyes it black. And you're like, no. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. You know, I mean, it's, you know, it's guys who do that. I'm like, I also think women are smarter. So, like, women who dye their hair often do a good job of it, I found. Men who dye their hair often don't do a good job. Or at least, let me put it this way. At least I notice a lot more men who dye their hair poorly than women who dye their hair poorly. I don't see a lot of women where I go, oh my God, that's too dark. Guys, you do, I see it more, you know? A lot of men are happy to have hair. Very true. I mean, me, to be honest, I'm happy to have hair. Yeah. You know, my hair is thick. I'm like kind of, you know, knock on wood, you know, right? I mean, lots of other problems in life. What do you do? You know, but no, I think if you're famous, it helps. If you're in Congress, it helps. President, it helps. You know, I mean, like Trump's dye job, I think is pretty good. You know, his hair's a mess, but the coloring, it's not like it's Lucille Ball red or something, you know. But Reagan, remember Reagan? And Reagan would always say, Reagan does not dye his hair. And he was like 78 years age or something old. And his hair was jet black. And it was like, and people would literally discuss it. Oh, do you think he's telling the truth? Yeah. No, I don't think he's telling the truth. Thank you, user 5492. Anyway. All right, guys, I'm going to go. My voice is going anyway, but we're already at 7:15. So I will be back tomorrow. So 11 a.m. Eastern Time US tomorrow for the paid monthly subscribers, super fans. Join us. YouTube members, TikTok, Discord, Substack monthly members. Otherwise, I'm back Monday. All right. So that's about it. Thank you for joining us, guys. This was fun. I'm glad I stayed up. I told you I was very tired after a little procedure on my back I had today that knocked me out, but I'm feeling a little better now. So thank you guys for joining. And Discord, you're first. Bye-bye. All right. Let me turn off Instagram. Bam. Substack. I think I've got to turn it off. Yes. Substack, I will turn you off here with YouTube and everybody else. Goodbye, guys, here. And stream.